Born on August 15, 1930, in Kilimambogo, near Nairobi, Kenya, Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya's journey began in humble surroundings. His parents, Leonardus Ndije and Marcella Onyango, were low-income sisal cutters. Despite their modest means, they instilled in young Tom the values of hard work and education. Mboya attended mission schools where his academic prowess became evident. Mboya's career took off when he became a sanitary inspector in Nairobi. However, his ambitions extended far beyond this role. He quickly became involved in the burgeoning trade union movement, recognizing it as a platform to champion the rights of Kenyan workers. By 1953, he was the General Secretary of the Kenya Federation of Labor, KFL, a position that placed him at the forefront of the fight against colonial rule. The 1950s were a turbulent time in Kenya, marked by the Mau Mau Rebellion. Mboya, a key nationalist figure, used his position to advocate for independence. He opposed the British colonial government's policy of multiracial political representation and worked tirelessly to form the Kenya independence movement. His efforts culminated in his election to the Legislative Council in 1957, where he was one of only 8 elected African members. Mboya's influence extended beyond Kenya's borders. He forged strong ties with international leaders, including John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King Jr. One of his most notable achievements was the Kennedy airlifts of the 1960s, which enabled East African students, including future Nobel laureate Wangari Maathai, to study in the United States. This initiative not only provided educational opportunities, but also strengthened the bonds between Africa and the global community. In 1960, Mboya co-founded the Kenya African National Union, KANU, and served as its first Secretary General. His leadership was instrumental in the negotiations that led to Kenya's independence in 1963. Following independence, he held several key ministerial positions, including Minister of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, and later Minister for Economic Planning and Development. In these roles, Mboya laid the foundation for Kenya's mixed economy and capitalist policies, navigating the complexities of the Cold War era. Tragically, Tom Mboya's life was cut short on July 5, 1969, when he was assassinated in Nairobi. His death sent shockwaves through the nation and exacerbated ethnic tensions, particularly between the Kikuyu and Luo communities. Despite his untimely demise, Mboya's legacy endures. He is remembered as a visionary leader whose intelligence, charm, and oratory skills inspired a generation and whose contributions to Kenya's independence and development remain indelible.
It is pretty obvious that the British and Belgian governments have been very much involved in the conspiracy in the secession of Katanga. It appears to us, those of us who have looked at the Katanga situation, that the British and Belgian governments, including the French government to some extent, and Portugal, are very much interested in safeguarding the various interests, financial and business interests, and mining interests in Katanga, rather than in the protection and safeguarding of the national security and unity of the Congolese people.
Now, sir, you as a leading Pan-Africanist have always objected to foreign interference in Africa. Now, wouldn't you say that the United Nations campaign against Katanga and against Mr. Shombe amounted to foreign interference?
Not at all. On the contrary, the United Nations was invited to the Congo by the central government. The United Nations did not intervene until invited. And at present, they are acting in the Congo, firstly on the advice of the African states at the United Nations, and secondly, on the advice and in consultation and cooperation with the central government of the Congo. Our criticism has been that the United Nations has been restrained too much in its actions in Katanga by world powers. That again includes Britain, Belgium, France, who do not wish to see United Nations take decisive action, again because they wish to protect their interests, the interests which are behind Shombe's secessionist tactics.
Do you see any future for Mr. Shombe in the Congo Unified Government?
That very well depends. At the moment, most of us think of him as a crook. whose word can never be trusted, but the future should be left to the Congolese people themselves.